Hello, Noble Knitter. It's Nancy Queen, and I'm so glad you're here. Have you been wanting to knit a baby blanket for your grandbaby, for your own baby, or even a friend who's having a baby, but you're worried that they're going to take a look at it and say, oh, bless her heart, she tried. Well, I'm here to take the guesswork out of it for you. I've put together 4 simple steps to make this pattern, along with some simple tricks to keep you on track and avoid making mistakes in your project. So let's get started. But before we do, go ahead and click the link above here or in the description below to get the free pattern that goes along with this video tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click the bell to get notified every time I post. I'm using Lion brand cupcake yarn. I used 1 skein, or you could use a DK weight yarn with 590 yards per skein. I also used a size 6 circular 24-inch needle. You could use straight needles, and a tapestry needle, a pair of scissors, and finally you'll need some stitch markers. I use them to divide out the pattern, so make sure there's 1 in a contrasting color. They don't have to be locking, and I didn't use 6 as shown here. I actually only used 5 total. I knitted a snuggly or car seat size blanket, and that measures 18 inches across by 22 inches high. So to measure the gauge of this project, I used 1 repeat of the old shale stitch pattern, and that measures 3 inches across when completed. You can easily adjust your project by adding an additional 18 stitches to make it wider. I'll begin by making a slip knot and then casting on 108 stitches for my blanket. To put my stitches on the needle, I'm using the long tail cast on method. It's my favorite method of casting on because it provides a nice sturdy edge. And you can click this link above to try this cast on for yourself. 108 stitches does take a few minutes to cast on, so I won't bore you with that, but I do want to remind you that once you've finished casting on, be sure to count the number of stitches on your needle before you start your first row. Okay, row 1 is very easy. You are just going to knit all the stitches across the row. I like to hold my needles using the continental knitting style, and it's just a way of holding the yarn and the needles, and I enjoy it because it makes for really nice, smooth, even stitching. So if you'd like to give it a try, just click this link right above. Now we're ready for row 2. It's just as easy as row 1. You're just going to purl all of the stitches across the row. We're on to row 3, and this is where the magic happens. This is where all of the ripple effects happen in what is called the old shale pattern. So we're going to start by knitting 2 stitches together 3 times. Next, we are going to yarn over, knit 1 6 times. Now we're going to knit 2 stitches together 3 more times, and this completes the end of our pattern repeat. Now you have 18 stitches on the needle. That is 1 pattern repeat. I want you to place your contrasting colored stitch marker on your needle. This helps divide your repeats so that if you get lost in your project and you get stuck on a row, or you're knitting along and you have too many stitches or too few stitches, you can isolate them and find out, okay, I made the mistake in this section of the pattern. Instead of having 108 stitches and you make a mistake and you have no idea where you made it, it's really frustrating and you feel like you just want to give up on the whole thing. This way you can go at any time and count your section and make sure there's 18 stitches on the needle. So it's a trick I learned years ago. It's helped me for many, many projects. Go ahead and do it. It's worth having these stitches, these stitch markers on the needle, and you're just going to knit past them, but they're there to help solve a problem if you need it. In fact, it did happen to me in this project several times where I was watching TV and forgot what I was doing, and then I had to go and isolate the problem, but I knew exactly the section I made the mistake in because it was easy. It was like, oh, why do I only have 16 stitches on the needle now in this section? So I was able to correct the mistake by isolating it. Since there's so much going on row 3, I thought I'd give you a visual. So you're going to knit 2 stitches together 3 times, yarn over, knit 1 6 times, knit 2 stitches together 3 times, and that is your 18 stitch repeat. You're going to place a marker and then just keep repeating these stitches across the row. Okay, we're on to row 4, and that is the last row in our repeat, is knit all the stitches in the row. Now what this stitch does by knitting on the back side of the work is that it's going to create a ridge on the front of the work, and that really adds the texture to this project. Otherwise it would be all stockinette. So you've got this textured ridge that really highlights the ripple effect that we created in the previous row. Keep repeating rows 1 through 4 until your project reaches 22 inches, and then you'll bind off after you've finished a row 4 of your repeats. Be sure to click on the link in the description below to get your copy of the free pattern, and check out these other 2 baby blanket projects. Thanks so much for joining me. Be sure to like and subscribe.